Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Kathy Collins, not Ann Sutterbutt. Our fearless leader, Ann, is home dealing with a cold that won't go away. So we should all pray for Ann's cold to depart. And I'm joined by my fellow call committee members, Quentin and Henry and Nathan and Emily. We also have Joe Baylor and Victoria. So we're here to give you a progress report. We've been busy. Just to recap, we got started in June, spent the summer developing the MSP, posted the MSP in September.
The initial, please.
The initial,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
What is it?
MSP.
Ministry site profile. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and then we have a mock interview with Pastor Sue Schneider, who has moved with her husband from, I think, Wisconsin to Houston. So she was perfect because she knows the ELCA, but is not interested in this call.
That as loud as it's going.
That's it.
Sorry.
And did not know a whole lot about CTK. And so we did 2 interviews with Sue, first on Zoom, and then second in person. And the reason we did 2 is that's our process to meet with people first on Zoom and then in person. So it was really like a trial run, and better to do it with Sue than our actual applicants. After we did that, then Pastor Tracy Roger Schultz sent us 4 applicants. So we have 4 candidates, all well qualified, all vetted by Pastor Tracy. And as of yesterday, we have completed 4 Zoom interviews, one with each of them. And during, and I should say that part of their application process is to submit a rostered minister profile, known as our RNP. And that includes their history, their education and ministry experience, their narrative about the gifts they bring, and with the references. They also sent us sermons that we've been busy listening to different sermons. And in these interviews, the Senate has said 30 to 40 minutes max, which is crazy short time for an interview. And we stuck to that. We asked them questions. They had time to ask us questions. Our questions were really trying to get an understanding of their gifts, because we are looking for someone who aligns with what we wrote in our ministry site profile about what's important to the church. And the questions we got, and again, there wasn't a whole lot of time for questions. One was curious how we did through the pandemic. Another wanted to know how we were doing on implementing the strategic plan, had read the strategic plan, was excited about that. Another one asked about, an organization chart and staffing. So we told them about pandemic, we told them about the committees that are being established for the strategic plan. We said that we don't have an organization chart per se, and what might be more useful is sending a list of the staff positions and title and a brief description of those jobs and how the staff work together. So that's in process. And we also talked a little bit about just the staffing lay of the land and the expectation that a new pastor, would need to spend time getting to know the staff, the work of the church, assessing the staffing needs in that context before making any decisions. I should also say that we are open to more candidates, and in fact, Pastor Mandy brought the hard copy of Christian Century, like, brought, there's an ad right here, position available, senior pastor at CTK. And Anne has been in touch with Pastor Tracy saying that we're really thrilled with the four, but it's not done until it's done, and we want to make sure that we do our full work on this. So hopefully we'll have more candidates.
Have there been any nominations from the congregation?
I'm getting them. There've been several nominations, and I wanted to stress, so Father Great lead, to remember the process, that the process is, there's a form to fill out to nominate someone, send it to Anne and the call committee, we talk about it, and then Anne sends it on to Pastor Tracy. There's a real etiquette here that Pastor Tracy goes to her counterpart or Bishop Mike's counterpart in that synod as a courtesy to say, we're interested, do you have a problem if we talk to this person? We don't want people talking to candidates directly, right? Do follow the nomination process, and we can take nominations anytime. One of the other things continue to stress is confidentiality. In our interviews, we open our interviews by telling the candidate that we have reaffirmed our commitment to confidentiality. We're not recording these interviews. We take notes, but we're not recording them. And so I kind of share that with you as well, that we're doing our best to provide updates to you. But we all have to buy into the confidentiality, both in terms of what we talk about, but also in our as we think about nominations. Anything else?
Just a quick turn is, you mentioned that it was our policy around the covenant stuff. It's actually the synodical guidelines around how to nominate candidates. We're adopting the synodical guidelines about the nomination process involving their guidelines. And the other thing is, not only is it important for the bishop's office to reach out to partner organizations to find out whether the interest is there, they also can understand whether there's any challenges with the candidate. And so that is also helpful, where we may not know about that.
Kathy, in the Christian Century, what is the contact information that's provided?
Pastor Tracy, we can pass it around.
Okay, so that's all I needed to.
Yeah, no,
I need to read it.
I cannot read it at the moment.
all right, position available. Christ the King Evangelical Lutheran Church, Houston, Texas, a 700-member congregation of the ELCA is searching for a senior pastor to lead the multi-staff congregation. We are a Christ-centered, inclusive, and welcoming community focused on multicultural growth with many opportunities for creative use of facilities, member engagement, and growth with 2 campuses in prime urban locations, an active campus ministry at Rice University, and a large and expanding online community. Christ the King Church is recognized for its worship and music, education programs, youth programs, community outreach and service, and its active involvement in global, national, local arenas. Compensation package is competitive. Learn more at ctkelc.org. Candidates from the ELCA or any of its full communion partners should contact the Reverend Dr. Tracy Brashear Schultz, Bishop Associate for Leadership. So
I'll pass it around.
I'm sure they pass out when they read that.
That sounds good.
That's what it.
so go ahead.
Or no, are you?
Well, I was just gonna
Right.
wrap up by saying that, we've been trying to kind of what should I say? We wanna keep moving forward. As Pastor Tracy said early on, this is Kairos time, God time. We might set a schedule, but it will be what it will be. But we've been pretty disciplined about trying to keep our momentum going and are pleased so far with the progress. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about where we're drawing these candidates. Are they coming from churches where they are actively ministers? Or are they people who have been discontented with what they're doing and they are out here looking for another position? Where are they?
I would say we have no discontent. And people are engaged in their ministries and some, are ready to do something else.
Are they in active congregations?
It's a mix, right? So you have people who are in active congregation, some are not. We have candidates all over the United States who are applying to this.
But in our first interviews, I was gonna say, in our first interviews, those are some of the things we're trying to get out, especially why specifically they're interested in Christ the King.
Okay.
So we're trying to seek out those types of information from them, not only, why they're leaving or would be potentially leaving, but more specifically, why they're specifically interested in this call.
And just to paint the flavor, the synodical guidelines say that we have 30 to 40 minutes with a candidate. So 30 to 40 minutes after introductions gives us time to ask 5 questions.
Yeah.
And then
5-minute questions.
5-minute questions, and then for them to ask us questions. So we are very excited that we're in the process and we're meeting everyone. But I would say we are very much on the first date with everyone. We have, I think the next step in the process is to have a more in-depth virtual interview. And then we'll do some more discernment, and then at some point, we will go on to a phase where we're inviting people here for in person.
Are there time limits on a second Zoom and an in-person visit?
The second Zoom is more open-ended, it's more conversational, and so it could be up to, it's not said recognized within 60-90 minutes.
I think Paul had a question. Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Oh, I looked at Paul and I forgot my question. It'll come back. I'm not gonna look at him anymore.
Should be.
Yes.
Do you receive a copy of their profile?
Yes.
Yes, so that's called the RMP, or the Rothman Manager Profile, that includes a lot about an individual. You can think about it as a much more exploded version of a resume that you would see in a professional setting, that includes all the calls that they've received, their resume, their education, list of recommendations, or references that we can call. In fact, we will be calling them. It's probably, and then what calls in the ministry, and it's probably each one of them only has a 10-page RMP.
And you have seen these before your first interview?
Yes, when the bishop's office presents us the candidates, they must, before they are formally accepted in the position, must present the bishop's office with the RMP. Then Tracy then validates that for us and then provides us a list of candidates with their RMPs in advance of the
Did I understand that you have asked for more candidates beyond these 4? That you've
We
asked them to
have
keep
said-
looking?
Yes, we have said that we are open to receiving more, that we're advertising. We read the advertisement. We think there may be some more who will apply. And that we want to be, open and interview them, because you never know how things play out, right?
That's true.
And in the past, it is a slight change in the past. And when we were first talking with the bishop's office 3 years ago, what would happen was we would create our MSP and we'd submit it to the city. They would give us a slate of candidates, like let's call it 3 candidates. The call committee then would have to discern from the 3 candidates. And if there was a decision that you did not want the candidate back, you would hand the entire slate back. And they would get a new one, and you could not go back to that slate of candidates. Likewise, you could not receive new candidates while you were looking at this slate. And it's actually, since the pandemic has happened, it's much more of a rolling process. So we can receive additional candidates while we're in phase 2 or phase 3 of an interview cycle. And so
Well, that sounds good.
Yes,
Are you aware that some of your first 3 could accept a call somewhere else before you make up your mind?
we're very aware.
we're very aware, and we have told them that we'll be in touch by the end of the month, which is next week, on next steps.
Yeah, and in the beginning, you were using a word that is inappropriate until you talked about the ad, you talked about applicants. What Tracy does is she puts your information in and it goes to the computer program and finds candidates that match. So it's prospects or not candidates in the sense of people who,
Yeah.
some people are totally surprised when they get a call from Tracy.
But I would say that's true, but it's also true, and it is based in evidence by the candidates we have received, where people have seen this and reached out to us.
We have an underground program in the clergy. I'm sure you're right.
There is a process, there is a website run by the ELCA National. And it is accessible by all rostered leaders, and it's got all the ministry site profiles for active searches available. So anybody that's thinking about moving can just look and see what's available, and then they put themselves forward.
But the intermediate step is that then Tracy looks at our MSP and the RMPs and says, hey, are these any good? And she thinks they are, then, you know, she has a conversation to ensure that, make sure she hasn't misread anything. And so they are highly vetted before they get to this stage.
She also talks to her counterpart in their center. And so to find out if there's any problems or anything.
2 questions. How long has this ad been running? And have we gotten any applicants off of that ad outside of the ELCA?
So it's been online, I think this is the
January 1.
online, so January 1, this is the first printed.
It's February 2023 is the.
Yeah, but it comes out in January.
Yeah.
I don't think we
So
know.
I don't think we have.
Yeah,
The
the
first-
process would be, if they were interested, they'd contact the bishop's office. The bishop's office would vet them and then would provide us, so that the candidates are not reaching out directly to us.
We certainly have not interviewed anyone that has come to that. They may have come to the bishop's office.
Yeah.
At some point, Adrian Yellen, people down the members of the committee visit the congregation if the person is in a congregation.
Pastor Tracy, if Pastor Tracy were answering that, she would say that's discouraged. For confidentiality reasons of the congregation, but I think that's something we still have to talk about. At a minimum, we've been listening to sermons, and doing people, in their worship service online. I think it's something in our heart of hearts that I would like to do, but to be mindful of similar protocol. You guys want to add to that?
Understanding that we are seeing people from across the United States, so it's not a car drive in many cases to this, we're worldwide. So
It's the confidentiality for the candidate, you know. Now, there's welcoming people in congregations that will say, why are you here? Right? And where are you from?
Where are you from?
So you gotta wear that name tag. Well. All committees are press.
Well, if they're active in their own congregation, their congregation may not know they're looking.
Right.
Exactly.
And
Bottom
we
line.
also are often able to look online and watch their services.
because they often post them, their church does, so
Yeah.
we can also judge based on that.
And I would say that we've all been doing that before the interview, and that's really helpful. to get that sense of people.
We've definitely been able to tailor some of our questions based on listening to some of their sermons and reading through their site or through their profiles, right? We read through those and tailor our questions based on some of the things we're reading for the candidates. So it's been definitely helpful to have those available.
I hope you're warning them about the wonderful summers we have.
No.
I was thinking,
No.
somebody asked, what is your average snowfall?
That's easy.
If they're from the
On weather.
Buffalo, New York area, I'm sure that's one of their questions.
Well, no questions yet about flood.
Oh.
Although there was a mention that, that they had seen that we did have flood, and so was interested in where they might live in the city, so,
Not in base.
yeah.
Oh,
What will be the next step for you that you'll report back to us about?
Our next step is follow-up interviews on Zoom. And so I think that we can give you an update on, our schedule in terms of that pace, whether we got more candidates to consider. Again, in our ideal timeframe, we're thinking, what can we accomplish this before Easter? That's probably ambitious, but I think we'll see.
We'll have another Sunday forum was it the third?
yeah,
Sunday
third,
every month. So next one will be.
February 19.
19th. And so whatever we will have, we will read out to you at that point.
And keeping in mind, we're not talking about names or identifying individuals, but just where we are in terms of winnowing down.
Are you planning follow-up interviews with all the ones you contacted so far?
We can't comment on.
Can't comment on that.
Can you say how you're feeling about the process? Just in general, how are you feeling right now? Like, what's it like to be on the call committee at this moment?
The Holy Spirit works in amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, very good.
There are those who you look at and say, oh, why are they applying that you then interview them and go, oh my gosh, where was this person hiding? And and so the Holy Spirit works in amazing. We're very excited and confident about this.
And don't forget that when we were calling Dwayne, we had 6 people, I think, on chat, and 3 of them dropped out after the phone interview, and the other 3 dropped out after the in-person.
This is true.
Yeah.
Which is why we're happy to talk to more candidates. So
Yeah.
we're done.
Until we're done.
Well, and to the point earlier, why, when we're setting up and moving towards second and third interviews, we're doing that with haste to make sure, if it's a candidate that we're very interested in, that being very cognizant that they can take another call in the meantime as well. So making sure we're trying to be as expedient as we can on those items.
But I think to go back to your question, I would say that, speaking for myself, I think this is going well, feeling good. Feeling like we've got a great committee that is really, I'm thankful to council for putting us together, because I think we all bring something different in terms of questions and perspectives. And we're learning from each other, both in terms of how we react to stuff, but also in terms of technology. And Mary's been great on that front. So it's good.
So are there people on the list that had applied before you?
Well, I don't think we would say that.
We would, the earlier call committee wouldn't share
Okay.
who the
Yeah,
candidates
and just,
were.
as with us, we are never gonna talk about who were the candidates. We're gonna talk about our final recommendation.
And our binding confidentiality remains in place after the call is complete. So we would never be able to speak to the congregation on who the candidates were. So yes, it will remain confidential. We can have the calls.
Anything else?
Just thank you. I mean,
Thank you.
that's me. That's what, because this is, sounds very time consuming. Lots of energy, lots of research. So, golly, thank you. Personally, I mean.
Thanks for coming this morning and for your questions, and see you next month.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. Yeah.
I have something.
Time for
For
coffee. Bye, everybody at home. Have a good Sunday. Hope to see some of you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was good.